Okay folks, this is the Concours 14 Kawasaki 2010. I'm going to start off with the bike covered. I went and purchased a carscover.com bike cover. It basically covers the whole bike, as you can see. It's from top up. It looks pretty loose because it's actually for a Vulcan 14 or something, or Vulcan motorcycle. The one you order from carscovers.com for Kawasaki 14 specified for that does not fit. It is too tight. Really good cover. This is the I guess they call it the deluxe one. I think it was like $79 or something like that. It fits real nice. Goes all the way down to the bottom. Covers pretty much all thing, and of course I got it on center stand, so that's what you get to see. But it covers the bike, keeps everything off. Nice cover. One little note: I did have to send the first one back. The manufacturer doesn't use sewing thread. These are all glued and pressed joints. So if it starts to come apart, it's basically a manufacturer's defect because the glue comes apart from the seam. Really don't have to wash it because the rain keeps it off and keeps your bike protected. So I'm going to put the camera down now and then take it off. Go over a few things that people have emailed me about the motorcycle. Let me set it up here. Oh. All right. I see that. Go off the side there, please. This is my basic setup for the motorcycle. Car cover here. I'll check this, make sure you can see this in focus. Since it does have the two side saddlebags, I'm going to go from what I actually use it for. Let me tilt this up a little bit, I guess. There we go. So anyway, here's the hardcover bags. This is the K-fob. This is the thing you got to carry in your pocket or in your, wherever you want to carry it. I guess in your luggage, everything else, anything. So long as it's within 20 centimeters, 20 inches of the bike, thing works, activates everything. It's sort of a hassle, and I'll go over this right now, I guess, as I go through it. With the K-fob little pass right here, with this K-fob being close to the activation point back here, you got positions which I don't show you on the website, which I wish they did. You have to push down and you'll see it activates the actual computer and everything, but then you're allowed to let the key pop back up and then back to the FSS off spot, and that you can release the key. Now you need the key every time that you open one of your containers, so you have to do that. You have to leave the key in there, which is another sort of a con to it, because after you take out your helmet, which I complemented this bike with the Schubert C3 with the Bluetooth collar, which has the phone built in for Bluetooth, and then the FM AM radio and volume controls. Excellent helmet, money well spent, because it's also got the anti-fog design lens in there so it doesn't fog up, and a bunch of things, but I'll go over the helmet. Anyway, after you take out your helmet, now I have a just go back there, please. So after you take off your helmet and take that out of there, and your riding gloves and all that good stuff, it's wintertime up here in Jersey, so that's one of the things. Now if it was raining out and my cover was wet, this is a complete sealed unit with this and the O-ring that they have in here. Really nice to keep it dry. But now that I'm putting something wet in here, these valleys here collect all the water. And basically there's no way to tilt that off except for releasing this mechanism, dumping it over. To get around that, I basically took a drill, and at the low point I put a 1/8 inch hole down here, and then on the inside, the outside lid, I did the same thing, real tight to the corner. You can't probably see it there, it's back there, a 1 inch, so when the bins are closed and you're riding, the water still has a chance to go somewhere, because the last time I did it, this thing was filled with water up to here and sloshing around, and of course I had other gloves in here when I put my thing in there, and it was all wet. So lesson learned, I drill a little hole here, 1/8 inch, drill a little hole 1/8 inch there. Water really can't spray up in the 1/8 inch hole too much. I mean, beyond that, it'd be incredibly hard to get water up in there. Otherwise, then it's sealed. It looks good. I'll fold up the cover, show you that the full-size cover and how it goes in there. I'll try to get this on a good angle here for you. We'll cover this here in a second, and I'll stand right there for you and do the cover. Full-size cover. All I do is flatten it out, roll it in, flatten it. This is upside down.
I have mine up.
Put this in.
Dad, write it down.
There.
Dad, I'll
And
have
there.
the top
Okay,
down.
there you go. Now you guys step away from the video for me.
Yeah.
Alright, go back to the cover, fold it in, down, flat. And I do this even when it's wet, so it's not the greatest thing, but hopefully I have my rain suit on before you do this. And they do have a crossover strap that goes underneath the motorcycle to connect the two sides. So, I'll do this, I'll take this back over here. I'll set this up so you can see this somewhat from here. See if I can get a good up angle on it there. Oh, alright. So now you can see. Make sure it's all flattened. And then get most of the air out, I guess, from the folds. This will fit pretty much into that side. Everything's got to stay away from the seals. Close it, snap down, and then once again the key back off. There. Alright, so now you have the key again. As long as you don't need anything else, and of course I stuffed this stuff. This is wearing. I'll put it down to the side here. Boom. Now, once again, now all this is being done. You can't be warming your bike up because you got your key out. So now you press in, it activates it, and you press it over to on. It does a self-test. You see the K-track thing they talk about, it flashes till you do about a few miles an hour. So none of that stuff will work until you're moving. Once again, just kick on the start. It's got to be in neutral. You can't have the kickstand down during the thing. So this is the winter time. So it automatically goes right up to about 1500, 1400, 1500 on the RPMs, and it'll idle there until it warms up. So far in the cold starts, it's done pretty good. It's, does that fuel injection, boom, it starts up, it runs a little high, and you can actually tell when it goes down. So that'll be warming up. I'll start off with the front end. I'm going to turn this off, but you'll also see the windshield will pop back down. It's another feature that you have there. Automatically goes back down to 0. So if you guys had questions about things, but I'll sort of cover all the stuff on the bike as I go around. Bridgestone tires, I've been riding. It's got over 4,000 miles now. I don't have any trouble with the tires. I think I will be going back to the Dunlop wet tire for the track, for running up the highway parkway, because the only thing I do worry about is the rain. So far the traction control has been great. I think it activated one time so far that I've been riding on wet roads, and that's about it. Didn't really feel it, just saw the light kick on and off. But I think the Dunlops might have been just a little bit of softer compound rubber. I'm not too sure, but just for feeling, I think they had a better grip on the road, so I'm going to go back to those. As far as the windshield's concerned, now I've gone, like I said, 4,000 miles. I've washed it off a few times. Kawasaki probably could have went with a better grade of plexiglass. That's what I basically call it, because it's not really one of those hard acrylic shields. It still has quite a bit of flex to it. While you're riding, it doesn't vibrate at all. It's pretty steady. So the only con to it is, like anything, not perfect conditions, you use a paper cloth and you get those micro scratches on it, or anything else, or if you use your glove to wipe something off, it's, you got micro scratches, which, you basically see during the day quite a bit, but at nighttime it's not really a factor. What comes in handy sometimes I do, and apparently I've scratched a few of them times, but I have a tight squeeze between my chimney and my car to get out, but it gives me good practice of that 40 inches. Once those things are in, it gives you a few more inches of play to get around things, and I've never really had to use them too much except for getting around in my own chimney to get out of my driveway. So these are pretty good. They're pretty steady. As far as the wind control, I've gone out on cold days, 45, 50 degrees, no gloves. This blocks all the wind coming off here and keeps your hands out of the wind. On top of that, you guys know these are all heated, so it's basically got its heat control going over there to the other side of the bike. It works great. I have some heavy-duty gloves that I wear during the winter time. I went and purchased a pair of Gore-Tex Olympia gloves. These things, you know, waterproof type things and breathing, blah, 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 all that good stuff these days. And with that on there, the heat will come right on through that leather piece and right through the glove, and of course keeps your hands and your blood circulating through your hands into your body warm, so it does heat you very nicely. Now on to the whole setup. This is all standard. Light switch, you know, your start stop, your hazards. They haven't used them, and then your start button down below. You will notice when I did kick it on, you won't notice it right away, but with the auto choke on here, when you kick this over, it actually turns your throttle just a tad like that. So when you get on it and you just happen to do this, it might bog down a little bit because you're taking it out of the throttle if you don't let it warm up all the way. That's one thing I just haven't noticed, and you know, I let go of my hand all of a sudden, it kicks right back up to a higher RPM. So that's one of the things when it warms up during the winter time. As far as this is concerned, this is not really high on my list of great way they designed this. You can only take it out in FSS, and once you touch it, it reactivates. So anytime I turn it off, it's off. But every time I do this, you know, it goes through its cycle and then goes back, and then I'm taking the key back out to unlock something or putting something in the case, and then back off. To get it to park, of course, you got to have your handlebar tilted, and then you got to press down, activate it. You got to hold it down in this position, and then it rides over the lock. That's it. Once you're away from the bike with the fob, it's not going to do anything. You can't turn the key. You can just do the old press, I think. Let me take the fob away from the bike. All right, the fob's away from the bike. Now you got the little red light you'll see. That's, you know, the security thing that just flashes continuously forever. Yeah, you can push up and down, no turn on it whatsoever without that fob. So with the fob away from the bike, that's all you can do. Now when you got the fob back, of course, it's in the parking thing. I leave the key in at all times. I never really take it out, but it's just the old hassle of pushing down. You got to hold it down, get it to off, then let it come up, and then go back over to the FSS mode. Controls over here, these are pretty well done. I mean, the K-Track, I really don't change at all. I'll check it out here. I have it on the traction control. I use it on the heavy braking 90% of the time. I do a lot of city and then parkway, which I need that extra braking, which really comes in handy. And I consider it an advancement on your brain, because you think about stepping on the brake, and when you do, it applies much more than you think that you needed, but you actually needed, if that makes sense. But it really reacts the way you should have reacted, you know, 2 seconds before that. And it applies some really good braking. So if you put the back brake on, front brake's going on at the same time, so it compensates for you not doing one or the other brakes, which is a phenomenal system. It's basically having like dual brakes on at all time. K-Track, and then you got your traction control on and off. I never really even touch these things. I leave them on. Like I said, the only one I do is high and low on this thing. So basically I just do the K-Track. If I put it there, that's on low, and that's for your braking. So the brake thing just shows 2 symbols for the 2 tires. That's it. And then once again you hold the K-Act back in. It's the ACT one. That goes back on, heavy braking, which is what I use. Somebody asked about their seat position. It says 6-foot guy. I'm 5'8/9", and with their design, I don't think your legs, this guy that emailed me on there for the responses, that your legs are ever going to touch the fairings, because they go up, as you can see, they sweep forward and forward all the way out. And this is pretty high up. I mean, you'd have to have a pretty large inside, you know, foot length, man. It's, you know, I'll give you an example. there's mine. I'm a 30 inseam, and this is another 6 inches at least right there, going up to the cowling. But it's beveled out. I'll sit on it and let you see my legs on it to show you what kind of inseam you're going to have. This is where I sit on the bike, and even if you're on the tank, my legs still don't touch this, and your legs would come up somewhere up here if it's a tall guy. But you'd have a pretty tough time, I think, hitting there. You might go by the dealership and check it out, but it's really nice. Completely inside behind the airflow when you're driving, so none of the airflow comes onto your feet. It comes off here. They've got heat shields built in down here, so none of the heat rolls out from the engine, goes back behind here and goes out, so it stays pretty comfortable. Sitting wise in the airstream when you're riding down the road, I'll show you. I'll tilt the camera up a little bit to show you the air for this, but for your legs, I don't think you're going to have a problem on that. Now for the airflow, I'm going to set this up a little bit here a second. See if I can get this tilted back. Alright, here we go. Whoop. Alright, hopefully you can see and hear me over there with that. When you're normally sitting like this down with your windshield down at the 0 position, this basically flows, comes across and hits you somewhere right here. Higher you go, of course, it buffers the air across the top of your head. Now when I'm riding high speeds even, I can basically have my helmet sitting like this. This air is actually coming across, going up here. Schubert does not recommend you riding with this up like this at any speeds, I guess, but I ride locally, and I'll ride some on the parkway if it's a nice day. Ride like this, windshield full up, it blocks all the wind coming across here. And I sit normally like this. I do have a slight tilt forward for my size, and I guess for the handlebars they're not down like this, but you're up. When I'm like this, if I catch any kind of wind, if I just tilt my head that little bit, complete silence on there. And then of course with this helmet, it's a great design, great helmet, so it keeps all the sound out. And of course it's built-in microphone for the Bluetooth and everything else like that. But windshield has a good height. They could have made it probably maybe an inch more for the average person, because I'm like 5'8", like I said. If for taller guys, it might be hitting the top of your helmet or face. But to roll that back, this could have been a little thicker, maybe. Just, you know, a solid thing, or made out of a harder Lennox, you know, acrylic maybe, so it wouldn't flex. But when you're riding, don't move those cans, please. When you're riding, this doesn't vibrate or flex, man. The wind keeps it just rock steady, okay? Can you see me on there?
I can't do mine.
Okay, that's all right. So that's pretty good for wind protection. It's come out real good, especially when you're sitting back just riding along. Of course, when I don't need that, this Schubert also has the built-in glare shield for the sun and everything, for your sunglasses, so it eliminates the need for sunglasses big time. Works real well. No, not yet. Alright, so that's for the windshield. Overall, it's a excellent windshield, wind blockage, great. Aerodynamically, you're blocked from here for your hands, and it does. They put these low pressure vents in here, which they need because I keep a juice bottle in here, and there's so much low pressure that it actually pulls the bottle off the steering wheel or the controls. No, nobody's in the thing here. Next thing we got is your storage. These things are only open when you're, I guess, stopped. See, this thing's on. It's not even opening up, but let's see here why it's not opening up. It's supposed to, right? Maybe it's a malfunction, I don't know. There we go. So much time went by. As you can see, for the glove box, it's electronically locked, but this thing is maybe a 1/8 inch of plastic. It's not really security, and the little hooks in there, they're not really the greatest. And this is all plastic. They made this all out of thin little cheap plastic. I mean, they even put a little cushion thing on the inside lid here. I don't know if they expect you to scratch your glasses or bounce it up and down, but this little box right here literally is just a little plastic box. Don't secure any valuables in here whatsoever. You know, put it this way, anything that's in here, somebody can come by, grab this, just literally grab it like this, and just pop this, just break it off. I mean, if they want to check to see what you had in there. So, no valuables in the box, and of course you don't keep your fob in there because they'd be able to take off of your bike. I give this a rating of overall design, I want to say a -2 because Kawasaki really dropped the ball on this thing. I mean, this could have been a lightweight metal box or something very more securable, because this, you know, it's just bad. It's just really not. I keep sunglasses in there, and they're considered lost because if somebody came by, they could just grab this, pop it. They're held in with plastic rivets too, so it's not really a big deal, and it's accessible. The box itself, if somebody wanted to really push really hard on it, I guess could push up and just pop it if they forcefully did it underneath here. The other thing is, yeah, you gave me one, but they could have designed it a little bit larger for than just a pair of sunglasses, because once you put sunglasses and a pair of gloves in there, you're actually stuffing gloves on top of the sunglasses. Not a really great thing. But if you have one, they should have put the second one right over there to give you something. Glasses on one side, gloves on the other, you know, and skip the whole electronic lock thing. That was about worthless. You could have just had a hidden button back here so somebody couldn't see it right away and done that same thing. But if somebody wants it, they can just stick their finger in there and snap away, and then they got your stuff, whatever's in there. So I don't put my license or registration in there either. I basically secure that on me or underneath the seat in the secure area. Standard stuff, horn, trigger for your blinkers. I was disappointed that Kawasaki still hasn't stepped up to the plate. Like some other bikes, after a certain amount of distance, it shuts your blinker off. You still got to manually tap it, center it to do that. That was sort of a letdown with today's technology. Kawasaki sort of dropped the ball on that. You got two items here. You got your cigarette port. It's pretty good. I've used it several times now. There, wires come up to my little bag here, and they sit there, and it feeds my phone or whatever I'm charging up as I'm going. That's fine. Once again, if you have one here, they leave you a blank here, so most guys are probably going to modify it and put a second one there if they need more power for something else, or GPS. They don't want to continuously unhook and charge their phone on that, or have to get a dual one. They should have put Kawasaki should have put a second one right in there. I think you guys saw the night video I had. I basically adjusted these things. They have to be adjusted way up. They give you your standard 25 feet in front of you. I don't know if anybody rides with their headlight 25 feet in front of them, especially during the night. So, real bad thing on there. The center adjustment should be a lot higher, especially for a motorcycle. I mean, it's just known. Overall, the instrument cluster is really good. I mean, the speed, you know, I'm usually doing right up here at the 80 mark, you know, going to the work and everything on a parkway. So, average speed here in Jersey. So, that works out good. And if I'm up here, see the needle on my face, I know I'm doing a little too fast, 110 or so. And the tachometer, most of the time I'm down here. I'm a, you know, high gear, low speed driver. So low RPMs. With the shaft drive, it's extremely smooth, no vibration. You really don't even tell if things are running. The break-in periods are usually under 4,000 RPM. I can do first gear, bring it around to 90. I think it was like 95 to 10,000 RPM. First gear can get you to 70 miles an hour. So when you take off from the intersection, don't even worry about shifting gears, because you can let that baby run right around and you can be doing 70 miles an hour before you even hit second gear. So second gear will take you well over 100 miles an hour. That's not a problem, well within the limitation of the RPMs. Like I said, I'm usually riding down here at 3,500 RPMs and 2,500 RPMs. I'm usually in sixth gear, probably about a few hundred yards away from where I started, and super, you know, slow, what can I say. As far as the eco drive, I mean, you got everything from cool. Most of these things don't ever get past the second temperature mark. It's pretty much, and then you'll hear the fan kick on for behind the radiator. Battery voltage, yeah, it's good to see. Since I'm running it without turning the thing on. Outside air temp, that's really, really accurate. I've checked against different sources, and it's pinpoint on, especially when you're riding down the road. Fuel gauge, it gets down to that one dot, and then you just got 4 of them. But once you get down to one dot, hits it. It's sort of annoying in a sense, but it keeps reminding you, like, low fuel, and you cannot change anything after that. It just goes to your what you had it on to back to low fuel. you need to get fuel. And I've gone so far, after I hit low fuel, I've gone 25 miles on my odometer from that point, somewhat high speed, somewhat low speed, so you get at least 25 miles before it completely runs out. I've never completely ran it out yet, so I haven't gone that far in testing it yet. I will, though. I'll basically carry a 1 gallon container with me, hit the low fuel, and ride it, see how far I can go on distance-wise before it, so you know. Real easy change. I don't really change these things much. This top one changes the main. I usually use the hand trigger right here to do that because it's a lot more convenient with me when I'm riding. So the bottom one does the odometer. There's trip A and trip B. I don't know how many trips people can actually log, but that was sort of an overkill on the trip things. I think I used trip A one time so far. I commute almost every other day on this thing, so it's got a temperature indicator which shows, and of course the fuel. You know, if you can't understand E and F, that's tough. I don't really know if they needed symbols next to it to show you like that's hot and cold and thing, international I guess. Nothing much more to say about the cluster gap. BMW, once again, they stepped up the picture and they made this a little larger, and they put the stereo speakers in there and the stereo type Bluetooth and all that good stuff in there, which they basically should have had for sort of a factory option. They should have, if they're making a sport tour, because I use this for work. Most people are looking at this thing to tour on the weekends, and they like to have those little comfort creature things, you know, for themselves. And plus you'd have to have your power and all the excess stuff that goes with it. You can't have everything, but it could have been designed, BMW has that theory, design it with everything and then just sell it without it. And if you want it, it's already wired for it and it's already there. The molds are made. There's no modifications. You just add the items that you want. And it makes a better customer satisfaction thing, I guess. Heat control. As you can see, even in the wintertime, it's been 43 degrees when I was driving home. Very warm on the bike. I was in my dress pants, basically the way I go to work. So I didn't have any thermals or anything like that, and I have dress shoes on. And then, of course, I have a mild jacket, believe it or not, a mild jacket. Not a heavy winter jacket, but a mild jacket. And that was warm enough to keep 43 degrees off me with the windshield and the wind blocks from there. And, of course, my heavy gloves keep everything off my hands, and these things keep my hands warm. So that's about it for that. They basically got rid of the old tank compartment right there, which made it plastic. Once again, Kawasaki probably could have left that there, made this somewhat level for the drivers, but you know, and then basically your fuel cap, it's good. I mean, I drive it down, I can almost put 5 gallons back into it when I'm done. Seat is really good. I won't say it's another con, but I'm going to look at the aftermarket one for heating and basically to heat that seat, because after it's sitting there for 2 days at my work and I get back on it, it's pretty cold at 40-something degrees. The other little design, I thought, this is plastic, very easily done. Your legs touch here. I'll get on the bike to show you. Every rider knows that, hey, when you fill that gas tank up in the summertime, that feels great because you got this cold, cold, cold fuel touching you right there in your thighs. And of course, all your blood running through your body goes through that area. And of course, that gives you the chill factor, especially then sitting on a cold seat. Sport cruisers, you know, touring bikes, they should have been a little more thoughtful. Even behind here or somewhere behind this part of the frame had a heating system, just something that came on with your grip heaters. They could have incorporated that with this right here into the body and just had elements behind there. When you turn it on, it would heat it up, you know, just to maintain like, you know, 65 or 70 degrees, something that would feel warm to you. It wouldn't be feeling that cold, cold fuel in between. So I don't know how much the tank touches that or whatever, but I know it's real close. But somewhere in this area they could have done that. Given them, those guys can think of anything. Rear pegs, I haven't used them yet. I really don't ride with anybody. I have my luggage on the back when I go to work. Shifting, extremely smooth. I'd like to get some feedback from some of you guys that ride a lot. I ride a lot, but I don't consider myself a professional rider. But you know, I probably log 100 and 200 something miles a week on this thing, at least 1,000 miles a month. When I shift, I don't really use my clutch. I do the power shift. When I feel it, I crack the throttle forward. It releases the pressure. I tap up. It goes in the next gear smoothly, and onward I go. And I don't use my clutch. So I'm just wondering, any of you guys can give me feedback on that, if that's good for the clutch, any bad things for the clutch or not. Only time I use the hand clutch is when I'm decelerating and lowering the gears. That's about it. Shaft drive, haven't had any problems with that, man. It's smooth, it's super quiet, and it's tetra lever design. It's apparently doing what it's doing. Come on inside. Mom will give you a sippy. Come on, I'll get you. I'm trying to finish this. Alright. So, as far as the bike goes, I'll give it, a thumbs up on overall, performance and style and riding. Bottom of the case is pretty much flat. I haven't never taken them off the bike. I mean, I've disconnected and put them back on just to show people, but they really just stay on and they're locked in position. They're not really secure, so don't think like, hey, I can leave my purse in there for hours and go to a concert or something, because if you unlock this, I'm going to show you right here. This lever right here is on a plastic piece. There's a plastic arm right there. That's it. And that plastic arm drops off, and that's it. Pulls out of those levers right there. It sits in a V right here, as you can see right there where it's touching. That's one of the sits. It just sits in there. It doesn't lock to it. And then you got two over top hooks on here, and that's how they go in. Now, the whole locking mechanism is right here. Locking mechanism is that little arm. That's it. And I hate to say it, but I looked inside there, and it's plastic. It's not, metal reinforced with plastic. It's just a plastic arm. So, yeah, anybody can steal anything if they want. So, otherwise, I've had really good luck. You just slide it back in there. The hooks go over center, and then you lower the handle. It catches the little arm in there. Lock. If you have it there, you can open your case. You open your case with this one, and you open your saddle bags with that one. So, and that's off. So, once again, you got to take the key out of the bike for that. So that's another thing, but we'll leave that back in there. Haven't got much feedback from people behind me, but I keep everything stock. So these are stock reflectors, stock reverse, I guess, brake lights. Excuse me, there's no reverse. They're red. It's very bright white here. And the turn signals. Everything's stock. The only thing put on a license plate, there's two reflectors on there and one here. Exhaust, extremely quiet. I haven't had any problems with it. It's cased inside this big case, so, and then of course you can see your braking, ABS, and all that stuff that functions on there. I got one flat tire from oops at work, but that was about it so far. This is a brand new tire. Once again, it's the Bridgestone to match the front one, and I probably will be going to the Dunlop. Some reason the Dunlop seems like it's maybe just a softer compound, like I said earlier, for traction control. I picked the Dunlop. The one is for wet racing, I guess it was, for the track. I forget what they call it now, but they have a different name, but it's basically a very good performance in the rain, and it does. And I've rode that for 10 years on 2 sets. Got 10,000 miles plus out of each set of tires. This side bag I really don't use that much. Once again, you got to get the key out. You got to undo that. I carry my rain gear in there. I didn't drill holes in this side because usually when I get home or I take my rain gear out, it's basically when I take it off, I'm inside the house. So I don't put wet stuff back in here, so this stays dry. They do have this neat little cord. Somebody had mentioned about it earlier models. They had some stupid little thing. This is, I won't say it's saying this. I don't open it that much, but it's probably going to be a factor after a while on the other side, and I'll modify it. They pop riveted that. I mean, that's, to me, it's sort of cheap and cheesy because you got a pop rivet, you got nylon, and then you got a metal flush thing on there. So, as you can see, after a while, opening and closing it will. I know they got to keep down the weight and everything, but maybe just a little better assembly there. This little thing, of course, everybody loves these new plastic things. They pop, it drops. If you do that, your case will drop down onto your muffler, so that's why they have that there. This keeps it level. They tell you not to put too much weight on it, and they clip it back together again. So that keeps it down. It's rated not for so many pounds. I think like 22 pounds or something like that. But anyway, it holds enough stuff. I have 2 sets of full body gear and then a split suit, 2 gorilla nets, and that's about it. So I just keep all that stuff in there for when I need it on the road. That's my second set of stuff. Let's get the keys out. Braking, I find myself tendency doing a lot of front brake, but with the traction control, the actually ABS braking, it actually compensates for me a lot, and it applies my back brake evenly. So I don't really worry about that too much anymore, but I try to consciously start using my foot pedal more than I do with my hand brakes. Pretty much it for that. I have a little tank bag. I went with a small one because I don't like too much stuff around, because when it comes in, you know, that's about the angle of it. I mean, you can go a lot higher with a tank bag if you want, and it's great. As far as lifting the bike up, it's got some butt to it, or some ass, I should say. It's a little hump for me. I mean, I'm a lightweight person. I'm 170, and I'll drop the bike down and show you just me pulling the thing back up to its seat position. This is off, and then down. I'm 170 pounds. It takes a little bit of oomph just to put it up, but it's not bad. And I've done that in different places on different inclines and stuff like that, and even on a gravel driveway where it buried the pieces in there. It's got a pretty good clearance. They do have the pipes right down there at the lowest point, so if you do scratch something, you're going to be taking part of your pipes, you know, there, or the connection bolt. But everything else is cleared up, and then of course your lowest point is your, I guess, I don't know what they call this, a knuckle joint or something, but that's the lowest thing here on the bike. Good clearance. I haven't hit anything or gone over things. I will. And as far as heat goes, I mentioned this earlier, they put this industrial type rubber in between the engine frame and here. Kawasaki should have played with a vent system right here, because one part that does get cold on you in the wintertime, I will get that for you. Mom will do it for you. Come on. I'm doing this. Go ahead. Go get Mom to get that on there. For as far as the heat goes, you don't get any heat off this thing, which is a pro for the summertime. I'm doing something, please. Pro during the summertime, you will not get any heat off of it, which is nice. Wintertime, you wish you did get some heat off of it, and it would bleed out here onto your legs and stuff. So this rubberized thing, I guess in the wintertime you could just take that part off, but it's sort of integrated into the whole frame there, so not to play with it. All the heat ends up blowing out through the back here, and then across the back tire and across that stuff. But I did add one little thing, you know, battery tender. That's all it is a two-prong thing. I plug in my battery tender. The battery sits in behind this panel, and that sits there like that. That's the only add-on thing I actually have on the bike, I guess, besides my tank bag. As far as the fairings go, like I said, all the heat comes off here. You never feel it, not even. They got their filler cap and everything here. And there's a bunch of different places you can check on the liquid level, but really I just take it in for service and it's good to go. I know a lot of guys do their own stuff. I do too, but it's everything's really compact and well done on this thing. So that's about it. Headlights, like I said, I adjusted them out well beyond the 25 feet they had them set. So when I kick on the high beams, I light up the road like 300-400 yards down the road. I haven't had any drivers flash me at my setting, so apparently I'm not bothering anybody yet. So any questions, email me at themachine1@hotmail.com. It's the THEMACHINE that's the one, WON, and at hotmail.com, and just basically look at the heading that's under the Machine 1 and then at hotmail.com. So any further questions? I know I try to cover everything that's on here. Smooth riding bike, and that 6-foot dude that's real tall, I don't think you're going to have a problem with your legs on there, but you can, like I said, go by a dealership and check it out. Rides real nice, smooth. Somebody asked me about fuel consumption. My average is 40, I think, plus right now, but lately I've been doing a little bit of high speed. Yeah, average 39.7. That's because I was doing even more high speed. Hey, you two, come back in here. Come on. I've been doing a little high speed on the way to work, rushing, which shouldn't be done. So anyway, usually it's in the 40 point something. You can roll down the road at 60, 70, 80, 100. And it'll still be in the Eco Drive, which it doesn't show until you start riding, but Eco Drive, and that will work real good. So eco drive, and basically stays in that so long as you're not throttling it really hard. That's about it. You can roll back and you go easy on the throttle and you'll see 55 miles to the gallon on it. So, and of course higher when you're less throttle and stuff like that. But that's about it. That's it for now, and if anybody has any questions, just email me and I'll try to answer them.